dive. Today we're looking at something fundamental, really, to how you experience, well, every space you're in.
Yeah,
Architectural lighting design.
that's right.
We're going to unpack the core ideas from the architecture of light, aiming to give you a solid grasp of what makes lighting work and why it matters.
Yeah, and it's funny, lighting can seem super technical, right, with all the gear and the numbers.
Totally.
But the basic concepts, the things that really affect how you feel in a room, they're actually pretty straightforward once you break them down.
And that's the plan today, to pull out that essential stuff so you can, maybe see the light around you a bit differently.
Exactly.
And we're looking at the second edition here, which is important because the field's changed quite a bit.
Oh, definitely. Things like energy codes getting much stricter.
Right, and sustainability is huge now.
And LED technology. I mean, that's completely transformed things. It's reshaped how designers even think about lighting spaces.
So these aren't just like abstract design theories. They hit things like efficiency, comfort.
How inviting a space feels, yeah. And its environmental footprint. So, our mission today, cut through the jargon,
Yep.
illuminate those core principles, make it useful, insightful, no matter your background.
Okay, let's dive in. Part one is really the why, the power and purpose of light.
Mm-hmm.
And the book starts right off reminding us. Vision is usually king. It's our main way of experiencing buildings, spaces.
Absolutely. And that leads straight to the question, how does light actually shape that experience? The book zeroes in on two main things,
Okay.
intensity and texture.
Right. Intensity,
Yeah.
bright versus dark. We all get that intuitively, I think.
We do. Think about it. A dimly lit restaurant feels different from a bright office, doesn't it?
Completely different vibe.
Yep.
Relaxed versus sterile, maybe?
Exactly. Low light, it fosters intimacy, encourages you to linger, maybe because there's less visual noise.
Makes sense.
Highlight often feels more public, more active. It can stimulate movement, energy. Think airports, hospitals.
Yeah, definitely more get up and go.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's intensity. What about texture? That sounds interesting.
It really is. Texture is about how the light arrives. Is it soft and even or sharp and directional? So diffuse light, that soft kind, maybe from a fixture with frosted glass, like a glowing globe. It minimizes shadows, gives a general wash.
Right.
Directional light, on the other hand, from things like spotlights with precise reflectors that create strong shadows, highlight specific things.
Like focusing on a piece of art.
Precisely. And that texture, that quality of the light, dramatically shifts the feeling, the function of the space. The globe versus the spotlight analogy really captures it.
It does. And the book connects this back to our evolution, right? How we're wired to respond to light.
Deeply wired. We evolved with the sun as our main light source. Sunrise, midday, sunset. These natural changes are cues for our behavior.
For internal clocks.
Yep. The book calls it light as mood. It's how light subconsciously tells us the activity level, the feeling of a space, often tied to time of day or even the season.
Which explains why that warm, dim light in the evening feels so calming.
Exactly. And it's not just brightness. The book also touches on wavelengths, the color of light.
Like cool blue light versus warm yellow light.
Right. Cooler light might feel more energizing, while warmer tones can be more relaxing. It affects our well-being.
Interesting. And beyond mood, light also instructs us.
Yeah, light as instruction. Think wayfinding. Brighter areas often draw us in, feel more important.
Or exit signs.
Perfect example. Color, flashing lights, they're all cues. So designers need to consider shapes, patterns, even movement of light to guide us effectively.
It's amazing how much visual info we process through light without even thinking about it.
It really is.
Okay, so that's the why. Let's get into how we see the science bit. Light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Correct. Just like X-rays, radio waves, microwaves, light's just the part of that spectrum our eyes happen to detect.
And the only difference is the wavelength, how fast it vibrates.
Essentially, yes. And
Right.
we measure these tiny wavelengths in nanometers, billionths of a meter.
Wow. And the visible bit, what we can see, is roughly 380 to 770 nanometers.
That's the range, yeah.
Why that specific range?
Well, think about the sun. Historically, that's been Earth's main radiation source. Our atmosphere blocks a lot, but the band that gets through strongly includes that visible spectrum.
So we evolved to see the light that was most available.
Pretty much. Our color vision adapted to use that readily available radiation.
Okay, so when that light hits a surface, it can reflect, be absorbed, or pass through. Transmission.
Those are the key interactions. Reflection, absorption, transmission.
And that's what gives us color.
Exactly. But here's the crucial thing. Light itself isn't colored. Color is the experience our brain creates when specific wavelengths reflect off surfaces and hit our eyes.
Okay. So my blue shirt isn't inherently blue. It just reflects the blue wavelengths well.
You got it. It's absorbing most of the other wavelengths. That's why color perception can be subjective too, and why color deficiency exists for some people.
Right. Now the eye itself, incredible bit of kit. Let's talk adaptation adjusting to light levels.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Bright adaptation going into a brighter space happens relatively fast, but dark adaptation, going into a dim room, that takes several minutes for your eyes to fully adjust and become more sensitive?
I've noticed that. Going into a dark movie theater.
Exactly. It's why designers need to be careful about big jumps between bright and dark areas for safety and comfort.
Makes sense. And then there's the pupil controlling light, the lens focusing it onto the retina at the back.
And the retina's where the magic happens with the photoreceptors? Rods and cones.
Rods and cones. Okay, what's the difference again?
So rods are mostly in the periphery of your retina. They're super sensitive to light levels and motion, especially in low light. That's your scotopic or night vision.
Peripheral vision, seeing things out of the corner of your eye in the dark.
Yep. Cones are concentrated more centrally, especially in that little dip called the fovea. They handle sharp detail and color vision in brighter light photopic vision.
So the fovea is packed with cones for when you're looking right at something?
Exactly. Maximum detail, maximum color info, right where you're focusing.
Okay, how do the cones give us color? The book mentions the trichromatic theory.
Right. So you basically have 3 types of cones. Each type is most sensitive to a different range of wavelengths. Think roughly red, green, and blue.
Red, green, blue, like old TV screens.
Sort of. When light hits your eye, each cone type votes based on how much of its preferred wavelength it sees.
Votes, okay.
Yeah, it sends a signal strength to the brain. The brain then reads that 3-part vote, like a 3-digit code, and interprets it as a specific color experience.
Ah, so different combinations of votes create all the colors we see.
Precisely. And if all 3 cone types vote equally strongly,
What happens then?
the brain sees that as neutral, white, gray, or black, depending on the overall intensity. Understanding this helps explain why the quality of a light source matters so much for color.
That voting analogy is really helpful. Okay, let's tackle color temperature. Kelvins. That always seemed a bit counterintuitive to me.
It can be. The origin helps. It comes from heating a theoretical black body radiator. Imagine a perfect absorber and emitter, like a piece of metal that doesn't melt.
Okay.
As it gets hotter, it starts to glow. First dull red, then orange, yellow. And if you could get it incredibly hot, eventually green, then blue.
So higher temperature in kelvins actually means a cooler, bluer light.
Exactly. Lower Kelvin values are the warmer, redder, yellower light. It follows that heating progression. And it's not a linear shift either.
Got it. Lower K warmer, higher K cooler. What about CRI then?
Yeah.
Color rendering index.
CRI measures how accurately a light source shows the true colors of objects compared to a reference like daylight or an old incandescent bulb.
On scale of 0 to 100.
Yep, 0 to 100. Higher number means better color rendering. Colors look more natural, more vibrant under a high CRI light.
So a low CRI light might make things look washed out or just off.
Exactly. Reds might look dull, skin tones might look weird. It's why the book warns against just trusting marketing names like daylight white.
Right, those don't tell you the whole story.
Not at all. You need the actual Kelvin number for the color tone and the CRI number for color accuracy, especially if color is important for the space.
Great practical tip. Okay, science of sight covered. Let's move to making light, the electric sources. The book covers the main players.
Yeah, it runs through incandescent standard and halogen fluorescent, HID, specifically ceramic metal halide, and, of course, LEDs.
And for each, there are key things to look at.
Right. Things like efficacy, how efficient it is, lumens per watt, lamp life, how long it lasts, cost initial and running costs.
Plus the CRI and color temperature we just talked about.
And practical stuff, like does it need a ballast or a transformer? It's a checklist for evaluating them.
Understanding these is key to choosing the right tool for the job, balancing effect and efficiency.
Absolutely. That lumens per watt difference can mean huge energy savings.
Okay, let's quickly run through them. Standard incandescent.
Cheap, hot, and efficient. Nice, warm, soft light, good CRI, but burns out fast, being phased out for efficiency reasons.
Okay. Halogen.
A type of incandescent, but uses a halogen gas cycle. Smaller, hotter, gives a crisper, more directable light. Slightly higher color temp, more neutral yellow.
Better life and efficacy than standard, but still not great efficiency-wise.
Correct. And the low voltage ones need transformers, which adds complexity.
Fluorescents, we see those everywhere.
Very efficient, versatile, generally produce diffuse light, big range of color temperatures and CRIs available, which is good.
But you need to specify both CRI and K.
Definitely. And they need ballasts. Electronic ones are better, long life, but disposal can be an issue due to tiny amounts of mercury.
Right, HID ceramic metal halide.
Think high power, high output. Stadiums, warehouses, some retail. Efficient, pretty good color spectrum now, suitable for color-critical spots.
Downsides.
They take time to warm up to full brightness, and dimming them is tricky or expensive.
Okay. And finally, LEDs, light-emitting diodes.
The dominant force now. Hugely efficient, incredibly long lifespan, way less maintenance.
Very flexible too, right? Different colors, temperatures, CRIs.
Massive flexibility. They are sensitive to heat, so managing that is important for longevity. The book advises looking for standardized, replaceable modules where possible.
Good advice. It's amazing how far LEDs have come.
Yeah.
Now, the book explains lamp naming codes. A19, MR16.
Yeah, it's actually quite logical once you see it. The letter is the shape, the number is the size.
Size is diameter in eighths of an inch, so A19 is 198 inches across.
Exactly, about 2 and 38 inches. And the letters. A for arbitrary shape, the classic bulb. R for reflector.
PA.
Parabolic aluminized reflector. Engineered reflector for a controlled beam. Think spotlights.
NMR.
Multifaceted reflector. Those small halogen or LED lamps, often low voltage, very focused beam. MR16 is common. Knowing the codes helps get the right replacement.
Definitely helpful. What about that 3-digit code on fluorescents and HIDs?
Yes. Often gives you a quick read on CRI and color temperature. First digit is usually CRI range, 7 for 70s, 8 for 80s, 9 for 90s.
Okay, and the last 2 digits?
Indicate color temperature, like 30 might mean 3000 K, 41 might mean 4100 K.
But it's a guideline, not exact.
Right, a guideline within that manufacturer's family. Always check the detailed specs if it's critical.
Good caveat. Lastly here, approximate efficacy numbers, just for comparison.
Sure. Roughly. Incandescent maybe 10 lumens per watt, halogen around 15, fluorescent and HID can be up around 70.
And LED.
Big range,
Yeah.
but often 50 to 90 lumens per watt, sometimes even higher now. The difference is massive compared to incandescent.
Really puts the energy savings in perspective.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we know why, how we see, what makes light. Now, part 4, shaping light. Design techniques beyond just downlights.
Yeah, this is where the creativity comes in. The book talks about strategies like aiming light onto walls, vertical surfaces.
Instead of just down at the floor, why?
It makes the space feel much brighter, more open. You're lighting the surfaces that define the room, making it feel larger.
I can picture that. It illuminates the boundaries.
Exactly. Then there's lighting up from the ground, uplighting walls, columns, canopies.
That creates a very different feel, often quite dramatic.
Very. Can make things look like they're floating, highlights textures. You see it a lot outdoors on buildings.
Mm-hmm. And lighting up from the wall onto the ceiling.
Another great technique. Increases the perceived height, can mimic a bright sky, feels open. Sometimes just an even glow on the ceiling is enough for a space.
The book also mentions using architectural elements. Slots, coves, light shelves.
Right, integrating light into the architecture creates these clean, geometric shapes of light. Very contemporary feel, can help organize messy spaces visually.
Provides calm and order. Interesting. Now, daylight. The book stresses our connection to it.
Absolutely. Beyond just saving energy, natural light has real benefits: mood, vitamin D, feeling invigorated or relaxed. There's an innate draw.
It just feels better, doesn't it? The book divides daylighting into functional and accent.
Yeah. Functional daylight is about getting that diffuse, even light for tasks, defining the space. Often involves diffusing or shading the light.
Okay. And accent.
That's using direct sunlight deliberately. For impact, visual interest, creating patterns, highlighting things. Think sunbeams in a cathedral.
Right. And using daylight effectively means thinking about site, orientation, building shape.
All crucial. How the building sits, which way it faces, window sizes and placement, it all affects how daylight enters and behaves inside.
And controlling it. Diffusers, tints, fritting.
Yep. Diffusing materials scatter the light. Tinting reduces the amount coming through. Fritting those lines or dots on glass acts like tiny louvers to cut glare and heat.
So integrating daylight well is about more than just energy savings. It's experiential.
Profoundly so. Many great spaces owe their quality to thoughtful daylighting.
And when you combine daylight and electric light, Key things to consider.
Intensity, color, and control.
Okay, intensity.
Using photocells and dimmers so the electric lights adjust automatically based on how much daylight is available. Saves energy, keeps levels consistent.
Smart.
Daylight's color temperature changes constantly throughout the day. That affects how your electric lights look next to it. You need to consider that relationship.
That's control.
Taking charge of the daylight, not just letting it blast in, which can cause glare or heat, but managing it to achieve your design goals.
Right. The book warns about uncontrolled daylight glare, heat gain, uneven light.
Absolutely. And distinguishes between windows for view and windows for daylight. They might need different treatments or designs. A big view window might bring in too much glare or heat if it's not designed for daylighting too.
Important distinction. Just having a window isn't enough.
Okay, part 5. Measuring light. Units and calculations. This can feel technical. Foot candles.
Foot candle is the unit of illuminance, how much light lands on a surface. It's lumens per square foot.
And the lumen is the basic unit of light quantity from the source.
Correct. Lumens measure the total light output.
The book also mentions exitance, light leaving a surface. Briefly, yeah. And then luminance, which is really important. That's the light leaving a surface in a specific direction, basically, what our eye perceives as brightness.
Measured in candelas per square meter.
Yep. And the candela itself measures light density or intensity in a particular direction, lumens per steradian. Think of it like the punch of a light beam. Luminance helps explain why a shiny surface looks brighter than a matte one under the same light.
Okay, now, capulations. The lumen method.
That's for finding the average light level in a big open area with pretty even lighting. Basic formula, illuminance, total lumens area.
So you add up the lumens from all the fixtures, divide by the room's square footage.
Pretty much. The book gives an example for a small room. You can also flip it to figure out how many lumens you need to hit a target light level.
Seems useful for general lighting.
Yeah.
What about the point calculation method?
That's for finding the illuminance at one specific spot. Useful for accent lighting or making sure a task area is bright enough.
And that uses the candela value.
Right. The formula is basically illuminance, candela distance squared. Light falls off with the square of the distance.
So you need the candela data from the manufacturer for this one.
Definitely. You need to know how much light intensity is aimed at that specific point. The book shows an example of lighting a table.
Okay, human method for average, point method for specifics. Got it. Part 6, the design process and documentation. How does a lighting plan come together?
Starts with the concept, the feeling you want. Researching, identifying needs, setting goals, brainstorming ideas.
Evaluating, refining. Sounds like any design process.
It is. And documentation is key, so it gets built right. Welcoming feedback is crucial too. You might ask a client, do you want this room to feel cozy or energizing? That shapes the whole approach.
And understanding manufacturer spec sheets or cut sheets.
Essential. That's where you find install details, lamp type, driver info, dimensions. Gotta know how the fixture actually works and fits.
The book lists a basic family of common fixtures.
Yeah, a sort of starter kit. Recessed downlights, adjustable accents, wall washers. Surface lights for general area lighting. Linear stuff, coves, slots, pendants.
Track lighting, under cabinet, step lights, in-grade uplights.
Exactly. The workhorses you see in many residential and commercial projects, a good overview of the typical tools.
And controls are vital. Switching, dimming.
Simple wall dimmers are common, but you need the right type for the lamp, incandescent, LED, fluorescent dimmers are different.
Then there are the bigger systems.
Intelligent lighting controls. Whole building systems that can integrate occupancy sensors, daylight sensors for major energy savings. Companies like Lutron, LC&D make these.
And localized panels for room control, scene setting.
Yeah, single room systems that let you preset different lighting scenes like reading, movie night, entertaining with different brightness levels.
Lots of options for control now. What about the actual documents? Red lines, schedules.
A red line layout is the initial sketch, the working map of ideas. The luminaire schedule is a detailed list of every fixture type used.
Cut sheets provide the manufacturer details.
Right. And the final lighting plan is the official construction drawing showing exactly where everything goes. The book have examples for homes, offices, classrooms.
Showing how layers of light create the mood, handle tasks.
Exactly. Choreography, mood, ambience. It also touches on designing linear slots and coves carefully to hide the lamps and avoid ugly shadows. Geometry matters there.
And sustainability comes up again. Energy codes.
Crucial. Codes like California Title 24, ASHPR AE 90.1, programs like URI, Energy Star, they all push for more efficient lighting design. It's a major driver now.
The book wraps up with a glossary, lists of organizations, manufacturers, even words to describe light.
Yeah, helpful resources. Words like bold, diffuse, gleaming, soft can help articulate the desired quality of light. It shows lighting is both science and art.
Definitely. Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've seen light is incredibly powerful in shaping our experience of space.
Absolutely. Understanding the science of vision, the different technologies, the design techniques, it all informs how we create spaces that work better and feel better.
And there's always more to learn, isn't there? It's a constantly evolving field.
For sure. New tech, deeper understanding of human responses, sustainability, it keeps changing.
So, a final thought for everyone listening. Take a moment, sometime soon, in a space you know well. Really look at the lighting. How does the intensity, the texture, the color, the source type, the direction, how does it all make you feel? What are the mechanisms creating that response?
Yeah, consciously observe it. You might be surprised what you notice about how light shapes your world.
A great exercise. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.